Design has always actually been a huge part of my life. I grew up in a family of artists, so we were really immersed in painting. My dad's a photographer, and we were in music growing up, and so we were kind of always surrounded by art and design. I knew that I wanted to be a fashion designer, and I went through school, and the day after I graduated, I started on my own line, and so I've been pursuing my own collection ever since. My work has become this brand that I didn't know it was going to be, and I've been creating things for specific women and doing custom pieces, and so my aesthetic is still growing. And I still haven't quite settled on what part of the design process is my favorite. Like, am I just a designer, or do I like the production part the most? Because I actually love constructing my gowns. That's what I really love doing, is the sewing. I love hand sewing, I love the draping and all of that, and so that's not necessarily just being a designer. And I don't want to be that stereotypical designer that just makes pretty dresses, but I like making pretty dresses. Hey, I'm Sam Stringer, fashion designer, and this is Design to Speak. Yeah, honestly, I've been thinking about this so much over the last couple years, and I used to think that they were always so separate, and I think that was just because that's how a lot of our industry talks about art and design. Is they talk about artists as a completely separate entity, and that art is all about expression, and artists have different connotations, and then design a lot of people view as more rigid and structured and functional, but I really see that there's a lot of fluidity between the both. If I'm working for a client and there's a very specific brand value that they're trying to emulate, and I'm working with them on that, I feel like I'm a designer because I'm producing this event for them and I'm making sure that all their bases are covered. But if I'm doing an editorial photo shoot and I'm wanting to express beauty and style and innovation, then I feel like an artist. A lot of designers I know don't identify as artists, and they think, well, I'm not creative enough for that, I'm not artistic enough. But those words that you're using to describe yourself, that is what you do in your design work. And so you shouldn't be scared to say, yeah, I'm doing this in an artistic manner, because someone will think that's less functional. I think a lot of artists don't feel that they have the clout to say, oh, I'm a designer as well. But even when I think of something like really tangible art, like a painter, yes, that is definitely an artist, for sure, 100%. But that's also design. You're creating your layout on the canvas, and you're choosing your colors very deliberately. And how is that not graphic design? Function is really, really important in all kinds of design. A lot of people look at that and say, well, but you're making, evening gowns. How is that about functionability? But I'm like, I need to make sure that someone can be comfortable with the way that this armhole is sitting, and I need to know what actions they're performing in this dress, and I need to know what their body shape and style is. Expression, of course, is what everyone thinks of when you think of art. It's not just expression of who you are and your personality, but also your values and your beliefs, and even used as a political stance. And so expression is really important as well. It's like chicken or the egg, yeah. In my process, it always has to start with design and function, because that adds value to me. And I think a lot of fashion designers start the other way, and they start with expression and art. But for me, I need something more concrete, and I need to know that I'm creating something with a specific purpose, and then the art can be inspired around that. Being a good designer, I think, means finding that balance of how much can you express and how artistic can you be while still being practical and marketable, to be honest. That's another huge side of it, is what will sell. Wearable technology, to me, is a really cool combination of art and design, because some of these are super artistic designers who do crazy avant-garde things all the time, and they normally don't make wearable things, but if they're incorporating wearable technology in their pieces, that is design right there. That is innovation, and that is working on a whole different level. So I've really enjoyed seeing that, whether it's physical things like a hood that's being able to go up by itself, or if it's something smaller like laser cutting, or incorporating solar panels into the pocket of a jacket so that it can self-charge. Even in evening gowns, I can think how that would be interesting. The thought that I could incorporate lighting, or I could incorporate sound. What designer wouldn't want to play with that? That sounds really cool to me. A lot of people see runways as too far-fetched, but that's kind of the point, is it's exaggerated. They're definitely my artistic showcase. That is where I can be a little bit more crazy, a little bit more creative. I can put a lot more time into those garments because they're being showcased on such an elevated level. And so that's definitely my art, and even the way that the show is produced, like working with different fashion weeks, picking the hair and the makeup and the models and the way that the outfits are styled, like that is all very artistic. And then what I get to do with my clients is definitely more about the functionality and kind of not toning down those pieces, but adapting them for the right person. I worked with a local painter, Jack Wass, and he creates these beautiful grayscale oil paintings. There's this one piece that was really feminine and strong and beautiful, and I wanted to incorporate that into my collection somehow. And I also just wanted to work with an artist in my collection. That was really important for me. What we ended up doing is I used his painting and I used the colors that were involved in my collection, and I created a digital print out of that, and then I used that to manipulate my draping. So the pleats have different versions of that, and some of the gowns have this print on it as well. So it was a really cool combination of painting and fashion design. It's great to be able to make a garment and to produce a garment and to make something that's functional for someone, but if it's not artistic and if there's not something new and interesting and stylish and captivating about it, then I don't really know what the point of design is. That's always going to be the challenge, and it's hard not to hit those walls sometimes. So for me, researching and seeing what's out there, that's how I get the encouragement to keep doing something interesting and innovative.